piece. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So as I said, go ahead and if you want to go to today's meet and introduce yourself. I know Jeff is with us today again, Jeff Peterson, so will help us to go through that while I'm negotiating all this. So who am I? I'm Heather Lamb. I'm the Education Consultant for Texas, and then my colleagues Sandy Hill and Luis Morales are here. We're here to support you. If you have questions about Notebook 11, if you have questions about products, things like that, if you're having some questions, the biggest questions I'm getting so far is some of the installs and things. Smart Ink seems to be a common question. Some of the new tools. If you're having some technical problems or difficulties or some things that you don't understand, I would love to try to solve your problems, and a lot of times I can help you. But I'm going to recommend that you contact our technical support people. If there is something that they need to know about, it's the best way, because if there's a bug or something, and Lisa's asking a question is, one of my teachers wants to know how to turn off Smart Ink, and that's been a question. And so I'm going to research that one a little bit further because I have had some questions. I think it's a pretty powerful tool, but there are some ways to turn it off. So I'll look. I know, Lisa, you're a Mac district, so I'm going to research that a little further and ask that if you have a question like that, even send me an email, and my email's on there offline so that I can better direct you. But I would recommend that our technical support, you can go to our website and get that support information, or you can call 1-888-42-SMART and ask for software support. They are really good at helping you. If there is a bug, they can identify it and log it. So even though I'd love to solve all the problems, and I've learned that it's better for them to identify them so that it can help everyone, not just a one-on-one thing. So that's the piece. So let me go back to today's meet is today'smeet.com/August Smart Texas. I don't know if it's case sensitive, so no worries. Hey, Mindy. So just join that if you want. Tell people who you are. So I'll keep up with that. All right, and then and I haven't done a really good job, and I'll be the first to admit that I've started a Pinterest, and I'm going to, every time I get my own Pinterest stuff, I think, oh, I'm going to do the Smart Texas. We do have a Smart Texas Facebook page, and one of the things that I think, if I'm not mistaken, because I've been on a computer that I wasn't logged into, I don't think you have to be a member of Facebook to be able to check out what we're doing on our fan page, which is good because I do still recognize and acknowledge the fact that there are some people that are not on it, and that's perfectly okay. So I do think that that you could check it out, because we post a lot of stuff. We a teacher in McKinney last week, I believe, she was preparing her classroom, and she did the cutest thing by decorating her smartboard with lights in this, I don't know, it looked like tulle, green and purple tulle, or green and pink tulle. I think her name is Lana, and her husband, I know both of them, and he sent the directions on how he did it. So you might want to check that out, or send me an email, and I can send you the picture and her contact information. But the cutest thing ever to decorate her smartboard. So neat stuff like that. We love to hear people, what they're doing, so share that stuff. So we'd love to have people post on Facebook too. And then how can you participate? A lot of you have figured it out. There's a question panel, and would love it if you would like to. If you have any questions, you can ask a question of me, and Jeff can moderate. But if you want to ask, we haven't had a whole lot of interest in this, but if you want to raise your hand, we have really a great group today, so if you want to raise your hand and ask a specific question to one of our panelists, please feel free to do so. That feature is there, so you just click on your little raise your hand, and I get a little acknowledgement, so we can use that. But today, since we do have kind of a smashed time, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, and we're not going to do a response VE question today, because I just wanted to get right down to the nitty-gritty. So here is today's meet. So hopefully, I can see, and you know what? I'm using the internet browser, inside of Smart Notebook 11. Someone said, oh, I think I'm going to go back to Notebook 10, and I said, no, don't. So, oh look, so Jeff has already posted how to turn off Smart Ink. So see, that's why I have him here. I have a couple of teachers here from Trinity. So, hey, it's Trinity School, and you guys with Betty Ann. So, and then Mindy from Trinity Christian. So this is a cool way for you to continue checking out what's going on. And then Jennifer Bergland's here, so from TCEA. So pretty exciting that we have, you know, people here that are joining us. Becca's here as well. So awesome. So thanks again for taking your time. And try that. The internet browser is just inside. If you're in Notebook 11, it's inside the Insert menu, and you insert your internet browser. I think you can have 2 of these on a page with all the political stuff. If you're a secondary teacher, gosh, I'm just thinking some awesome teaching and learning opportunities, and put 2 of those up, and maybe put a CNN thing or another political piece, and then compare and contrast, you know, what do the Republicans, what do the Democrats, you know, how do they meet in the middle, or do they ever meet in the middle? So you could do 2 sites and just see how they differ, but you can have 2 websites, maybe have a smaller piece. So lots of things you can do with the internet browser. What else are we going to talk about? So I've given you kind of the logistics. We do have Jennifer Bergland from TCEA joining us today. She's going to talk a little bit about IMA, or Instructional Materials Allotment. We've had a lot of questions, and this is, you know, it's kind of probably directed to more of a district level, but we wanted to raise awareness because I've had some teachers that have emailed and said, what is IMA? You know, I hear this word, what does it mean to me? And then also raising awareness. So we've asked her to do kind of a quick commercial. We are going to have a deeper webinar, deeper conversation. She's got some exceptional resources and pieces that she's going to share. We have Michelle Phillips from ISD, and Jeff Peterson's joining us again, just because I think he just has just all kinds of cool little things. Not that anybody doesn't. So if you want to volunteer, please let me know. But I knew this was going to be a crazy time, so I just thought Michelle tweeted something about something that she did this summer, and I said, hey, would you be interested in sharing? And Jeff, he always is willing and able. So if you would like to have a cool thing you're doing, I would love to include you in our webinar. And then because we're all learning, some of you have never even seen Notebook 11, so this is kind of a first stab at it. I just want to bring side into some of our training things. I did have to create a new website, so hopefully you should have received something that has my new website on it. And then our next session will be September 25th, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right. So Becca, yes, you should have sound right now. So make sure that you should have sound. So Jeff, while Jennifer's talking, do you want to maybe type some pieces that could help her to have sound for me? That would be great. So we'll see if we can get you fixed up with that. You are muted, all of you, but other than that, you should have sound. All right, so Jennifer Bergland is our special guest, and I am going to change and make her a presenter. All right. So you should be able to see, I have to see her desktop. And so I'm seeing she's there. Let me unmute her. Jennifer, are you there?
I am here. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. And I am excited to get to share with you a little bit about the IMA, particularly in the very first week of school. My husband is a teacher right now. I say I graduated 2 years ago, but I retired 2 years ago from public ed after 32 years, but my husband still teaches and he's still exhausted. So I know you're tired, so I appreciate you being here. I want to let you know a little bit about the Instructional Materials Allotment. This is a new funding source that the last legislature, the 82nd legislature, created through a bill called Senate Bill 6. And basically what it did is it combined the resources the state had been using for textbooks with the funding that they had been using to provide funds for districts to buy technology. That fund was called the Technology Allotment, and it was around $30 a student, and it was sent to every Texas school and charter school, and it was set aside, and it was probably used and spent by your technology coordinator director. And then the textbooks, of course, you know, for years, the state has basically purchased the textbooks and shipped them to the districts whether they needed them or not. And over the last 10 years, there's been a push for more flexibility for school districts to be able to choose the materials that they want to use in the classroom and look for ways that are more efficient. And so Senate Bill 6 was born. And basically, let's change the slide. There are two ways, there are two things primarily that the Instructional Materials Allotment can purchase. It can purchase instructional materials, which is your traditional textbooks or online materials. It could be workbooks or those kind of things. And these materials are now being purchased directly from the district. That's one of the biggest differences. You no longer just tell the state how many kids you have in your district and they send you the books. Instead, the district now looks at what are their learning objectives, what do they want to accomplish, what resources are best going to meet their students, and then they have an amount that they can spend on those materials. And so they could be materials that are off the instructional materials, the State Board of Education list, approved list, or they could also be from what is called the Commissioner's List, which very few school districts have purchased off of his list, or not. That's the big change. School districts are no longer required to buy instructional materials off of the State Board adopted list. Now, the last year was the first year that this was started, and by and large most school districts did buy off the State Board approved list, but they're no longer required to. And they're not required to buy a class set either. So basically the school districts could decide, you know what, we're going to buy some textbooks, some printed materials, but not enough for every student because we don't need them for every, all the time. That's not our main resource. We use the textbook as a supplemental material. And instead, we're going to buy these other instructional materials that we think we're going to really help our students, particularly in passing of the state assessments. And so it gives districts a whole lot more flexibility, and it's going to be interesting to see over time how that changes. They can also use these resources to buy consumable like workbooks and those kind of things, and also supplemental resources. The materials could be printed, they could be digital, they could even be open source. And I think that you may not be totally aware of what open source resources are, but usually they're free. If you've ever gone to Wikipedia, you've used an open source resource. It could be something that your district has created, or even there are some free resources where a nonprofit association or organization creates the resource, and then your district takes it and adapts it for their needs. So that's kind of what an open source resource is, or it could be in combination of all three of those. I'm giving you a very, very quick synopsis because I only have 10 minutes, so I want to end by letting you know that half of the, I told you there are two different things that the Instructional Materials Allotment can purchase. One is instructional materials, the other are technology resources. So that's why we're even here at a SMART event, because you can use the IMA to purchase your SMART equipment and resources. And so what a school district can do is, after they have purchased enough instructional materials that they need for their district and their students and their staff. They then can look at the technology needs of the district and spend the IMA on technology resources. It could be equipment, it can be software, it can be online resources. It can also pay for the salaries of individuals who do training on technology, and it can pay for the salaries of those that provide technical support for the equipment. As long as the equipment that this person is providing support is is solely used for student learning. So it can't be for technical support for your administrator computers, etc. So the instructional materials allotment is totally centered on the classroom and what is going to help students learn and teachers to teach. The equipment that you can use the IMA for has to be instructional. So it can be iPads, it can be tablets, it can be computers, it could be printers, it can be document cameras, it could be smart boards, you know, any equipment. It even can be equipment like network access points that provide the bandwidth or provide the connectivity for your devices to be able to get that online instruction. So there you have it, a very quick, down and dirty, lots of questions that you might have, but I provided a link to the resources that we have. I have an FAQ there. I have a lot of resources that you can access on our website, and I put that in today's meet. So Heather, I think that's about all the time I have, and I hope that at least whets their appetite for more information.
That was fabulous. So yes, Jennifer, and I wanted to, let me change it back, and I didn't really spend a lot of time on who you are, but I wanted to remind people that some of your official title was Director of Governmental Relationships and Member Services. But you know what, if you're not getting what you need out of TCEA, that's one of the things she told me that she did. She advocates for the members, and so she's the liaison. So she's a great resource that you can reach out to. So definitely reach out to her and see what it is that you can do. We are going to have a better or longer webinar. If you've got, be watching, because if you've got your district that says, hey, you want to say, hey, we need to take notice of this, then this is, like you said, we wanted to whet their appetites with this. So I hope that if you heard, if you've heard that IMA term, now you know just a little bit more, and you can buy smart products with it. So we're going to find out more. We're in the learning stages as well. So just know that we have more information. And then Jennifer, did you by chance plug the information on the today's meet at all?
Yeah, I put the URL to our site that has all of our resources. Is that what you needed?
Yeah, that's perfect. So if they need to find out other information. Now, I know we have private schools and stuff. This is a public school piece, correct?
Yes, it's for the public schools and charter schools.
And charter schools. Okay, so I just wanted, because I know we have a few people from some private schools, but so that's a good differentiation for us. All right. Well, I don't see any questions from people, or if you have any questions, let's see. If Kay. No, that was a different question. So I don't think we have any questions right now. In reference, if you have a question, then please let me know, and we will get that answered. And then stay tuned for a little longer detail that we'll have some other information. So I really do appreciate that you taking the time, Jennifer, to speak with us, and I think it's just like I asked you for, a great commercial and for whetting their appetites. So with that, I am going to go back and I'm going to mute you, and then I know if you need to hop off, please feel free to, but reach out to Jennifer. Those resources are there, and if you do have any questions, I can forward them on to her, or you know, let me know how I can drive and direct if you do have some questions, or if you take the information, if you're a teacher and you take it to your campus technology person or curriculum people, please, you know, let us help to get that word out. So, and if you do, you know, have any if you think about it after conversations, we'll continue the conversation as well. So I wanted to thank Jennifer for that. And now we're going to switch right into our teacher features. So remember that we have the Today's Meet going, so if you have questions or you want to post some things as Jeff and Michelle are posting, Michelle's going to go first. And if you have anything you want to know more about, I'll watch that as well. So definitely keep those questions and keep those, you know, if you want to raise your hand and get some more information. I'd like these, you know, the value of using GoToWebinar is that raise your hand feature. And so if you feel so inclined, I would love it, so we can have some more kind of interaction. And we're going to get going. This is our first back to school, so we're going to get going with more questions and answers. But let me make Michelle now the presenter, and let me also, okay, I'm going to unmute. All right, Michelle, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
All right, so I made you the presenter, so you have control. I only see the Smart Texas thing on there, so I don't see your computer screen.
It didn't send me a message that said do I want, and then where I hit OK.
Yes, let me change it back.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Oops, I think oh, there you are. Because I can see the Michigan thing. There you are. Yay! All right. All right. Just a little bit of a delay, but we're good. All right. So I'm going to mute and see what else people are saying. So have at it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to be here. My principals wanted to meet with the technology team before school started so that we could start off the year, you know, integrating technology. And we were given this CD. And our theme for the year is Rockin' Through the Year, and so they were doing, you know, we did our hallways in this theme, and this is the CD that we were given. And we were asked to create a trivia game to go with our first, you know, official staff meeting and our first get-together. And so we kind of passed it around the table, and, you know, everyone was snickering under their breath at some of the songs and the CD. And so it got passed on to me. And so I thought when we got to looking at it, I'm like, we can do this. We can do this in a more engaging way. So what I wanted to do, since most of our staff had never had any experience with QR codes, I wanted us to have a QR code hunt. And so I wanted to incorporate the music like she wanted and the trivia, but so that we were up walking around and doing something new. So I we looked at some of the songs, and then like one of the songs on the CD was Crazy Train. So we decided that it would be cool to incorporate some videos and not the standard songs that it had on the CD. So one of these is, of course, the Honda commercial that has Crazy Train, and made some of us laugh every time we see it. So we thought about recording this and creating a QR code. And then the first time I did it, noticed that, well, you could see the title because we were, you know, what song is this in this commercial? So we were trying to come up with a way to fix this. And so then I remembered that the internet browser in and I'm going to have so many boxes open on my screen now. Okay, so what I realized is that we could adjust it to where you couldn't see it. You could just see the video, but you couldn't see the actual title or anything, and by using the smart recorder. So what we did was copy the YouTube link into here and started the smart recorder and just did the part of the video. And then we scrolled to the next slide, which we posted the actual question, like, you know, what is the title of this song? And then we would also tell them where their next clue was at. We had 10 clues throughout our entire building, and we wanted the new teachers to get to know the building, so we'd say, where did the students line up for lunch? And so they'd have to go find that place for the next QR code. And a lot of them, at least one for every grade level, had an iPhone or a smartphone, and we just had them download a free QR code scanner. So then, and then we uploaded this video that we created to a YouTube page. So I had all of them listed on here. We had 10 total. And so it has all of them right here. So we put them on here, and then I just went to the internet to find a QR code generator. And there's a lot of them out there that are free. The one I found that I use quite a bit is qrcode.kaywa.com. It's quick. You don't have to sign up for anything. You just put in the URL, or you can put text in and hit generate free, and then it just shows up right here. So let me go to, so let's say if we put this link, and then generate for free, it would generate it, and then I would just right-click on it and save picture as into my own drive. And then I would print those and put them around the building. So what we ended up with is, I'll go ahead and play one of these short ones so you can see what it looks like. So when they would scan the code, it would come up with whichever one it was.
So Michelle, videos sometimes don't work real well through GoToWebinar, so it may be kind of clunky. We can see.
Okay. And if it is, all of these are on YouTube. Just Tech with Michelle, all one word. That's my username, and all of these are on there.
Okay. So, and you can you post that on on today's Meet as well? This is a cool idea.
Definitely.
And so, do the teachers then have to have they had to have a QR reader on their device then, correct?
Right. Right. And so this shows I use, and I won't play the whole, I'll just scan through it this way, but I used also the shade, so it would do part of it at a time, and so it would say, you know, they'd have to answer the question, and then they wrote it down, and then it would tell them where to go next.
Okay, so my next...
They have to go there.
So my next step is I'm looking at this and thinking, oh my gosh, that's kind of cool. Do you have the directions written down anywhere that, because you use the internet browser and you use the recorder for that. Do you have any quick directions that you, either if you don't have it, if you can get them and we can post them? Because I think this is, QR codes are kind of the new kind of cool up and coming thing. So if you haven't ever used a QR code, you probably saw them, those little, they look like barcode scantrons, but do you have anything that you can
I don't, but
up?
I can make one up, and definitely I can send it to you. Or
oh, that would be phenomenal, and I can post it on my website and send it out to you guys and stuff. That would be great. Does anybody have, like, can you see? I don't know how, if you guys are thinking, but, you know, how could this add value to your classroom and stuff? Because I just think it's
well, and if you have something that will scan them, and like right now, we have in our district the bring your own device policy, so the kids can bring their own devices. And I've done a vocabulary hunt with this before, where it would come up with the word, and they would have, or the definition, or an example, and they'd have to go around the room where I keep all our, you know, we have a word wall and all of that. And they'd have to go find the word. So there's a lot of different ways to do this.
You still, let me just clarify too, you still would need you still would need YouTube to be able to access this, correct?
Or when YouTube is blocked for our students, not for our teachers. So what I did is just post it on my district website. I post some of the videos so that I could link the QR code to my school website.
Nice.
For when we used it, because then I could take them down when we were done. But that way, because the school website's not blocked for the kids.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. That is a way to think about outside that box of, the two. I've seen some people have talked about how to do the YouTube videos in the internet browser, but wow, try to, combining the two, and then I could see this even having some implications and pretty neat things with the recorder and the, the flipped model and all of that. So, way to think out there. That's a really exciting. I knew it was
and I
cool.
use the internet browser today because I usually use viewpure.com and put in my YouTube links so that it doesn't show all the advertisements around the edge when I'm watching something with my students from YouTube. Right. And we were watching a science safety video today, and they blocked it. So for some reason today it was blocked. And so I went and put in the web address of the video into the internet browser in Smart so that you couldn't see all that extra stuff around it, like when it ended and when it started.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, so I'm just going to do this, and just so I can tell and give Michelle the hands up. So you all have a raise your hand. I'm not going to ask you to talk, but if you think this is a cool idea, it's something that you could take a variation of or use it, can we give Michelle a hands up? If you just can click on your little hand raise, and look, there they go. So Kay, we're all giving you, Karen, Scott, Sherry, Renella, Betty, no, Betty didn't yet, but she's coming. So these guys are giving you the thumbs up on that. So neato idea. So keep them so everybody thinks that's a good thing. So I know that I'm just looking, thinking, okay, that's an interesting way to do it, but I think that I would like to see more on how to do that, and just seeing what I can do with it, because that's a super duper idea. So we do have a question. How do you get the sound to record when you're recording a YouTube video? So that's from Janie.
Well, I just did it on my laptop, and the microphone in my laptop did it.
Okay.
I didn't have a special microphone or anything, just the one that's built into my laptop.
Yeah.
Recorded it with the smart recorder that records the sound on the screen.
Cool, cool. Very cool. Nice. So that was great. Okay. So anything else, or is that it? That was not anything short. So I asked Michelle, so you never know when I'm lurking out there watching what you guys are doing, because she tweeted about something and I came back and said, hey, do you want to be on our virtual webinar? And she said she could do it. So that's why I posted on my Today's Meet mime on Twitter, HeatherLam08. So if you're on Twitter, you can definitely share that. So you never, like I said, know when I'm going to be lurking out there and say, hey. That was awesome. So can't wait to see if you'll send me those directions. I would love to post those. That would be great. And if you've got more exciting little ideas, would love to include you again. So let me know when you want to be a part. Our next ones will be in September. And I've started doing kind of themes. So these are kind of back to school themey kind of stuff, and just different ideas. So next month we'll have a kind of a curriculum focused theme. But, all right, I want to thank you for joining us today, Michelle. Let me change.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So stay on and listen and stuff, but I'm going to make Jeff the presenter now. And let's see if I can.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. All right.
And hopefully my screen's coming through now.
Yep, we can see you. So Jeff Peterson, those of you guys have heard him probably before. He is instructional technologist from Lamar Consolidated out in the Houston area. That he's gladly volunteering to help me do these webinars, because it's not really a one-person show. I've tried to make it a one-person, but it's pretty tricky trying to manage all these things. So if you ever want to help me, I'd love it as well. So Jeff, I'm going to mute myself and see what's going on in today's meet, and take it away.
Okay, sounds wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again this afternoon. Yeah, as Heather said, I've been working webinars with her for, I've lost count how long now. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully I've been able to share some useful information, tips and tricks and such over the past several months. Today I've just got a series of little things that deal with, for the most part, Notebook 11. Some of the ideas that I show are repeats from what we did over the summer months, so if you were not with us during the summer, you wouldn't have seen these, but if you were with the summer, I apologize. You're going to see a couple of things that I repeat because I felt they were important enough to repeat. So I will go ahead and start progressing through. I thoroughly enjoy doing this, so I am having fun. First thing I'm going to talk about, if you've worked with Notebook 11, really started delving into it, you're already familiar with this feature, but Smart has added an additional feature with the ink. You can pretty much turn any standard pen into a fading pen, very similar to that of the Magic Pen. I've absolutely fallen in love with this feature because of the little tricks you can do with it, primarily in that I can now come through going through my pen options. I can now save a pen on my toolbar pretty much in the form of a Magic Pen that will always be there. It definitely comes into a great use. So in this case, I'm going to select this second pen down on this bottom. Currently the pen color is purple, and I would actually like it to be a standard black pen. So I'm going to change my color for that. So once I've selected it, I'm going to go through our Properties tab. This is going to let me start customizing that pen. So I want, okay, it's going to, for some reason, keeps kicking back to my black pen, but that's okay. I'm going to customize it through, make sure it's black. In this case, I'm going to go to my Fill Effects. Underneath the Fill Effects, I now have the ability to enable ink to fade after you write. This turns it into, similar to the Magic Pen, disappearing ink. So I check that checkbox, and that great feature they have added, giving us control over the fade time. In the past, we were at the mercy of what the Magic Pen was defaulting to. Now I've got options to set it from anywhere from 2 seconds to 12 seconds. So maybe I want it to be fairly quick. I'm going to set mine at 4 seconds. And then down at the very bottom of this pane, there's a button that says Save Tool Properties. If I click on Save Tool Properties, that turns that pen permanently into the fade unless I go back and reset my tool property. That way, when I close Smart Notebook, I'm going to right on the screen, I teach my lesson, I close Smart Notebook. The next time I get on this computer and open up Smart Notebook, that has permanently set that pen to fading ink. It works out really well, definitely gives you the advantages of having a fading ink tool all the time at your fingertips without having to go and constantly set the settings. And of course with the Magic Pen, we do know if we draw an O, we mean to draw an O or a 0, suddenly we get the spotlight. Using this fading ink definitely takes that obstacle out of the way. All right, that was the fading ink, which leads me to the next one, dealing with customizing the toolbar. Many of you are familiar with customizing the toolbar. If you've worked with the older versions of Notebook, you could still customize the toolbar in a similar fashion. With Notebook 11, they changed it up just a little bit. Now when I open up the customization window, it's going to give me a little box that gives me both my action tools as well as actions as well as just my basic tools. So I have control over which tools I'm adding, which ones I'm not. I don't get the big, huge box that we got with version 10 that had 900 buttons on it. It kind of narrows it down, breaks it down to what the actions versus the tools. If there happens to be a tool or an action that you use repeatedly that is part of a submenu, such as the pens, currently I select the pen tool, then I click on a drop down, and maybe I use the Magic Pen repeatedly. I have to constantly go to the pens, click the pen drop down, select the magic pen. Now I have options to come in and pull specific pens out and customize my toolbar. So I'm going to take the magic pen, very simply drag it up, add it to where I want it on my toolbar. I can make it big, I can make it small depending on what I'm adding. Same thing with the actions. There are several actions in here. You can remove tools, add tools as you see fit. One thing that I do frequently within our own school district, we have this great button on here for Smart Document Camera. You click the button, your Smart Document Camera, a window opens up, gives you access to your Smart Document Camera. Within our school district, we don't have Smart Document Cameras. We've got other brands. So this button really doesn't do us a whole lot of good. So what I teach the teachers is go ahead and just pull that button off. When I pull that button off, it's going to remove it from the toolbar. We've got a blank spot. Then there's buttons that are not by default on the toolbar. These teachers absolutely love. A big one that is great, that is part of Notebook 11, is the reset page. Because in the past it was you write all over the screen, you move things around, end of the class period, you have to close Notebook, don't save changes, reopen it, and hopefully everything's the way you need it to be, but it takes time to do that from class to class to class. The reset page gives us the option to completely clear everything off the page and set it back to the way it was the last time you saved. So the teachers have really loved having that option available, and I have them drag that up and add that to where the document camera used to be. So now they have a whole new button up there. They have a button that is useful. And just like the tools, the actions, I can do the same thing. There may be actions in here that I want to use. Maybe I'm somebody who quite frequently, well, let's see, we'll go with a protractor. I'm a math teacher. I've got to use the protractor a lot. Yes, I have a math tools button on the toolbar, measurements tool, measurements tool, but I click that, then I get the 4 measurement tools, and then I have to select my tool. I want quick access to that protractor all the time. Just drag it up, add it to the toolbar wherever you'd like it, and now I've got a permanent button that gives me direct and quick access to it. If you do want to set your toolbars back and you've changed your pen colors and made them do different things, you can restore those toolbars and the default properties right here at the bottom of this, which I'm going to do right now. Fairly simple process. Just click the buttons and it resets your toolbars back to what they were. So you can see my document camera has gone back. And then inside here, my black pen is no longer a disappearing ink. So great capability customizing the toolbar. Some teachers do it. Some teachers don't know it's there. All right, that's going to lead us into some of the other things that we talked about with Notebook 11. This one specifically pertains to, I talked about the reset page feature. That's what this one was designed for. Very simple little notebook file. I've got a bunch of content on here that I'm going to have. I want the students being able to go through and work things out. This one happens to be simple addition. They come in. I've got several pull tabs at the side. I pull the first tab out. It's asking me to determine the cost for the items in the shopping cart. So I pull it out. Here are my items in the shopping cart. The students can come up to the smart board. They can handwrite it if they want to. Have them come out and add it all up. And I'm using my mouse, so my handwriting is horrible. But they can come in, add it all up. Once they have their price, they can determine those prices. Great, we've got it figured out. This one, simple lesson set up with a checkout line at the bottom. It tells you to pull the shopping cart onto this checkout line. And when you pull it down, this was a simple grouping action. Underneath my shopping cart, I have my answer. So they know exactly whether they're right and wrong. They have immediate feedback right there on the screen. Well, I've got multiple shopping carts already set up. I don't want to have to go through, erase all these features, move this shopping cart off the screen. A lot of extra steps that I don't want to have to do. The reset page, if I kept it on my toolbar, I could simply click that reset page command. Or underneath the page sorter, on that individual page I happen to be on, if I click on the drop-down arrow, it's now got a command in here called reset page. When I click on reset page, it's going to give me a little warning that you cannot undo this action. But when I reset the page, everything goes back to the way it used to be. All my tabs are off to the side. Any writing I've done on the screen is now gone. It is a phenomenal feature. I know it was a big request by a lot of teachers, and it was great that Smart came back and said, yes, we're going to add this feature. And they made it very user-friendly, very easy to do, very easy to manage. All right. Another one I've done, this is the same kind of concept. I just use the exact same layout. I just changed my problem. This one took it from being an addition problem of adding up the elements in the cart to addition and subtraction. Same concept, however. It's, again, they pull out the shopping cart. They have to add up, determine how much is in the cart. This one says you have $15 that you start with. So once they add it up, they have to subtract from 15 to determine, okay, how much do I have left over? Again, pull the shopping cart down, and there's our dollar figure. And I do see Heather posted a very good comment on today's meet. The reset button does not work with animation right now. And I had forgotten to mention that because that is true. I figured that one out quite a while back. I know Heather and I had talked about it before. So keep that in mind if you have animation. All right. So that's the reset page. Absolutely great feature. Other things that we've come up with, another feature in here that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with if you've touched Notebook 11, the Activity Builder. The Activity Builder is a phenomenal feature that was added to Notebook 11. Very great little thing where you can pull objects into identification, categorization. In a case like this, I set up a very simple one that's something commonly needed. It's just, what time is it? I've set it up. I've got a little box underneath my clock. Drag the correct time into the box. With the Activity Builder, you can program it in so that the correct answer will stay in the box. The incorrect answers will get kicked back. So I drag 3 o'clock in. I let go. It immediately kicks it back. Phenomenal interactive activity for the students. I'm one of those people that very frequently needs that kind of situation. I've had teachers already that I've been showing this to. These are teachers who are very reluctant to use the smartboard interactively, that have shown them this feature, and they have quickly jumped on board and said, how do I do it? I want to be able to do this. This is a great feature. And it is very true. It is a phenomenal feature. These kids have a great time with it, and it's very easy to manage. How do I create these? Simple enough, by selecting the object. I have a puzzle piece over to the left-hand side. I click on the puzzle piece tab. Here's my Activity Builder. When I click on it, it gives me options. In this case, I need to edit. I have to drag my correct answers into the top box. My incorrect answers go to the bottom. It does have an easy feature that I can add all, so I drag one here, add all remaining for the incorrect. They add in. An important thing to note, it is good to lock objects that do not belong in the yes or no, the accepted or rejected boxes. That works out well. If you want to set your settings so that the accepted items fade out, fly out, snap to center, you have those settings under here as well. Once it's all done, you click on Done, you have set it up. It is a phenomenal, easy to use feature.
Hey Jeff, I don't know if you said this on the Activity Builder, and maybe it will work on, because I'm going to say something, but then I'm kind of curious. The things that I've noticed is that in the Activity Builder, your containers or your holders need to be filled with a color. Have you noticed that at all?
Yes, actually what you just said is correct. That is actually the whole reason my boxes on here are white, because that is correct. They do have to be filled with a color. If you just simply draw a basic box on the screen and you do not add a fill color, it won't accept this very well as a object, because then what literally becomes the container is the border of the box, instead of in the center of the box is completely excluded. So it is important to go through, yes, and add a fill color of some form, whatever that fill color happens to be.
Yeah, and so you just used a white box there, in which I have a lot of teachers that just want white. It doesn't look like anything is there, but it is filled with white, so that's good to know. So I've actually brought that up. I don't know if that's a bug with it or what, but I'm hoping sometimes we just want boxes, but you do have to fill it, so make sure that otherwise your activity builders won't work right. All right.
Yes, and one thing I have done, like this page here, because I have the boxes on this page, these are white boxes with text in the background, but I wanted to have the text to be visible. So what I did in a situation like this is I used the transparency feature so you could see through it. I didn't make it 100% transparent because then it would, of course, nullify the point. But I went in, selected it, and I just made it somewhat transparent. It does accept this kind of box as a container. I can see behind it. Everything looks good as long as I have some form of fill color on there. And again, this was the same concept. I used 4 different boxes for containers. This one was 6 boxes, so it's a very simple concept. I do want to make sure I jump onto a couple of the other features that I've got in here, and I see my time is running low. This was a simple little lesson that I put together, but it was set up with the idea of grasping kids' attention. If you were with us this summer, you definitely saw this one. Life and Times of Germs. I created very simple little Kleenexes that you pull out of the box. When you pull them out, it's got text on it. I click on the text. This is a bullet point. Just the way you're supposed to teach. You give them a bullet point information, and then you elaborate. This one's set up to be linked, so when I click on the text, it actually takes me to a page that has more details about that bullet point. When I click the back button, it takes me back to my Kleenex, and I set it up with the idea of what do we do with the dirty Kleenex? We get rid of it, so we drag it to the trash, throws it out, and then we grab our next Kleenex and continue the lesson. It was a very simple activity to build up. All I simply did is I captured a picture of a Kleenex box from the internet. I used the camera tool and used the region captures to take my Kleenex box apart. So I used the region area capture. I selected the Kleenex. Takes a picture. There's my Kleenex. I take another picture. Here's my Kleenex box. Now I've got my Kleenex and my Kleenex box separated. I delete the original. Here's my Kleenex box. Here's my Kleenex. I make copies of my Kleenex as I need to, so I'm going to create quick clones as many times as I need. I have my text. Here's my Kleenex. Here's my text. The important part of this is dealing with grouping and linking. I have to link the text before I group. So I simply come in this case, it's going to be a place in this file. I have it linking to the very next page. I'm going to set it as an object so I don't get the little paperclip. I have now linked it. Now I select both objects and I group them together. So when I group it, it's now one object. My Kleenex is not a link, but my text is a link. My Kleenex now needs to come to my tissue box. In this case, I got lucky because my Kleenex already is behind the tissue box, but under the odd chance that your Kleenex is in front of the tissue box, like this one, that is just a simple ordering command. I click the object drop-down arrow. I'm going to send it to the back, and it's going to make sure it goes behind the tissue box. So if I wanted this one behind the tissue box, send it back. Now this tissue goes behind the tissue box. I did add a little creative touch to my Kleenex box because I have this weird symbol in the corner. So I'm just going to add a smart logo to it. And as you see, my smart logo is actually behind it. So I need to bring my smart logo to the front. And I add that to my Kleenex box. I select both objects and group them together. Very quick, simple activity that definitely will have the kids' attention. The Voki Widget, if you're not familiar with the Voki Widget, awesome addition. I'm going to talk really fast on this. Awesome little addition. You can put Vokis on here, and you can now put their embed code in. Very simple process. Once you've downloaded the Voki Widget from the Smart Exchange, You go into Voki, you create your Voki. They give you embed code. You do not have to understand anything that is in here. This is the embed code straight from the Exchange, or excuse me, not Exchange, from the Voki website. You simply copy it off their website. You paste it into this box. You cannot right click and paste. You do have to do like the Control V on a keyboard to get it in there. I hit go. It's going to load up the Voki. It is a great little thing. Earlier, Heather was alluding to the Smart Notebook Internet Browser. It is a phenomenal feature, but this was one of the frustrations I ran into right away with the browser. I've got a YouTube video. I've got to scroll up and down, locate the YouTube video. I started experimenting with the Voki widget and discovered the Voki widget can be used for more than Voki. This is the Voki widget with a YouTube video embedded. I just took the embed code from YouTube and put it in here. It works. It worked out perfectly. Other things that I found that work, Blabberize. If you're familiar with Blabberize, I took the code from Blabberize, embedded it, and now it actually works inside the Voki widget. Prezzies, the list goes on and on. Here's a quick example. This one I have taken. This is a YouTube video embed code. I went straight to YouTube, went to the video, share, embed. It gives you the code. I copy the code. I paste the code into the widget, click on go. It's going to load up awkwardly initially. All I need to do is select it. Gives me a resizing handle. I can now resize it and make it fit my needs. So it's a very, very simple feature, and now it will actually play the video just fine.
Hey, Jeff, we're kind of like getting down to the...
This one is, yeah.
Oh, we're like, we have 2 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, so, and that's fine. That's fine.
I'm going to stop myself right there.
Okay, because I want to, like, maybe come back and spend a little more time on this, but always, I mean, this is why I love him, because he pushes the limits of everything. So, number one, do you know where there's directions on the Voki, this kind of a step-by-step? Do we have something posted somewhere, or do you have that information?
I know I have something somewhere. I will very gladly find that and share it with you so you can get it posted on your site.
Okay, and then also the directions, like on, just some of the tips and tricks that you've shared with the YouTube video and the Blabberize and anything else that you've discovered along the way. Can you add those as well? I think everybody would gladly love, to have that. That would be awesome. And then you're seeing he's got his great, so Lamar Consolidated just really has it together, and a lot of districts do. I just think that, they've got these PDF books and stuff. So have you updated all your little things you were doing this summer?
The cheat sheets that are out there right now, you can see this little flip book that's flipping through, and go to icafe.lcisd.org and then go to Resources and Smart. You'll get this little flip book. These are updated for Notebook 11, so all of them in there are Notebook 11. I've got more I've got to create. I just haven't finished creating them, but they are there. How I did the YouTube into the Voki widget, if you do a YouTube search for J. Peterson LCISD, it's going to pop up the single video that I created specifically for it on YouTube. That's a step-by-step, talks you through how I use the Voki widget in other ways.
Nice. And can you post that as well on the Today's Meet?
Yes.
Okay. Super duper. And those little flip books, those are printable as well, right?
Correct. You can print them, very, very easy, nothing tricky about it.
Okay. Super, super, super. All right. Well, it is 5 o'clock, and it is the first week of school, and I so appreciate you guys joining us. I'm going to switch back over just to remind you of a couple of things. The one thing I wanted to remind you guys is, well, not remind you, but tell you, is in the coming month in September, we have, if those of you that use Smart Response, we actually have an Eduphoria connector now through Aware, and I was actually with Janie Henderson, who is joining us today in Alvarado, and we checked it out, and it is pretty slick. It is, it's really easy, so smart is we're developing a kind of a Eduphoria campaign, and we'll have a webinar that will be taking place. You've got to have Eduphoria aware for this, so it works all with that, and that will be happening in September. So we'll have directions, and we're working on stuff. If you want to try that out in advance, I've got some directions I can send you, as well as we discovered that there are some things on Aware. So basically it's for your summative assessments, whether it's benchmarks or just those quick things that you want to put into Aware. So that's coming down the pike, so be watching. And then I did have to, and I know it's over, so I apologize, I did have to change my website, so please make note of it, because I've gotten some emails and people are like, oh my gosh, your website's closed, and the mobile me is closed. But if you just go to heathersdigitaldashboard.com, this is it, and what I've done is I've updated the link on the page. So if you select the Smart Notebook Training 11 training resources, that will take you to, let me click right here, that will take you straight. You don't have to even call it down. If you need some certificates, you can go to the learning space and get the certificates and things, so you can keep logging of your time. But if you click on that link, this is going to take you to many of the resources. Click on the More button, and many of the things that Jeff talked about, the ordering, the grouping, some of the basics, these are, if you're having to do any training or anything, these are exceptional for you to use. So don't forget those, how to use some of the tools. These are how to do those, those cool things that Jeff always shares. These are there for you. So I encourage you, they're PDFs to help you even more than just watching a video. It's kind of a step-by-step guide. So look at that. Don't forget that we'll continue on. So don't forget about the Smart Exchange. Tons of resources. Again, they are correlated. I've seen they're correlated to STAR out there now. So use that. Don't forget, I am going to work on getting my Pinterest up. So lots of lessons if you're on Pinterest. And if not, and then our next session will be, I don't know if that's the right date, because I have 2 different dates up there. So let me check on that. I don't think that's right. I think it's September 27th, not September 30th. So don't let me put a big line through that, because I don't think that's right. But I'm going to check on it. So it's coming. So I apologize for that, but I just had a mental just a thought right there, because I thought I checked on it. We are going to have a theme of a curriculum focus. So you guys using C-Scope, maybe you're not using C-Scope. We're going to talk about how to use PDFs and PowerPoints and all that stuff that you have access to that isn't very engaging or interactive for students. We're going to talk about how to use it. And then don't forget, tell your colleagues. I know you're busy. I totally appreciate. We're 5:05 now. You've had a tough week. It's only Thursday. Welcome back to school. Don't forget to invite your colleagues to even sign up and just get the recording. I did get it set up right, so we shouldn't have any codec problems. They can watch them. I'm working on trying to make a better solution for watching the past webinars. But encourage them to just sign up, and then I will be sending out a certificate to everyone that's registered. So I know a couple of you are watching together, so if you send me an email, let me know. I'll forward out the email to everyone that was in attendance if you have a little group. Other than that, it's 5:05. I apologize for going just a tiny bit over. I want to thank you. If you have any questions, let me know. Post them on the Today's Meet, or connect with us on Today's Meet. Connect with us on Twitter. I'm Heather Lamb 08, and I will let me question mark that for sure. And I don't know if that's the correct day. I think it's the 27th, but I'm going to check to make sure. So I will send an email out. Be watching. But the next session will be on curriculum and how to use C-Scope, how to, ideas for integration of your frameworks. I'm not supposed to really say, I guess, C-Scope. So framework for understanding, or standards. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great Friday. Get some rest this weekend, and we'll see you next month.